Stay tuned and let's check out this Marvel Legend Amazon exclusive, Ronan the Accuser. Pow, and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we are taking a look at this Marvel Legends Amazon exclusive, Ronan the Accuser. Now it is both a UK and US Amazon exclusive, but frustratingly in the UK, Marvel Legends exclusives are always hard to get hold of on Amazon and they never stay in stock for very long. This one has popped up a couple of times and I've missed both. So I've had to borrow this one from Rich again, so thank you very much, Displayed Once, as Ronan is a character I would like to add to my Cosmic collection. We did get an opportunity to get him back in the day. He was a 2007 builder figure, quite gangly. There was a couple of knockoffs going about for a while. I managed to avoid all of them and my day has come as we have a brand new Ronan today. But did he warrant the deluxe treatment? We shall find out. Here we have the boring plastic free packaging. Good riddance to ya. We get a Guardians logo on the bottom and the top, digital render on the front, comic image on that side, another digital render on the back of the box, no wave association, bio, and his only accessory is the hammer he is holding. But it is still a character I would like in my collection, so I'm interested to check him out. All the same, let's get him open. Here we have Ronan the Accuser out of the packaging with his hammer, as that is the only accessory, as I've already mentioned, and it is frustrating for a deluxe figure not to come with any interchangeable hands or heads or even effect pieces, but it does undoubtedly look like Ronan the Accuser and it is still an upgrade compared to that previous version. So just in case you wanted to know a little bit more about Ronan, let me help you out. Ronan the Accuser was declared Supreme Public Accuser of the Kree Empire by the Supreme Intelligence, carrying a hammer called the Universal Weapon. Judge, jury and executioner, he is responsible for enforcing the laws of the Kree. The powerful cosmic villain first appeared in Fantastic Four 65 in 1967, but has come up against other teams like the Avengers and of course the Guardians of the Galaxy. Zooming in to take a closer look at Ronan. Now this figure has some creative reuse, shall we say, but it does have some new elements as well, so let's focus on them first. First one being the head sculpt, and I think this is a solid representation of comic Ronan in both the sculpt and the paint. I like his grumpy expression, the blue skin as he is a Kree after all, the whited out eyes, the darkness around the eyes, and then you've got elements of that metallic armor. The hood also drapes nicely over the head and the shoulders, and there's enough clearance underneath these thick shoulder pads to allow for articulation that looks very natural. So there you can see I can turn his head left and turn it right, and it just sort of moves underneath these shoulder pads. As you can see, these are quite thick, but they're separate pieces that move a little bit and they're plugged in at the front of the chest. You can see there's a peg there, and if I unpeg it, you can see what's going on up top, and that's where the clearance allows, and it drapes nicely over the shoulder. So let me plug that in, and you can see as well, it even allows for some arms to go all the way up as well. So liking how they've done that. I also like how they've actually sculpted this pattern on the front, and it's painted in a lighter green, which is a great contrast throughout the rest of the figure, as you've got the metallic sort of lime green armor, the sort of flat darker green base, and then you've got this light green trim, not only on the sculpt here but also on the belt, and then on all of the trims of the armor, even around the hood as well. And they didn't skimp, as it continues on the back as well. Sometimes they missed the back completely, but we have the same sculpted details on the back, and it's painted even on the belt and the shoulder armor pieces, etc. So really liking all of that. So all of that is basically new. So basically torso, shoulder pads, head is all new. The reuse starts on the arms, as you have the single jointed arms that have the sculpted lines going across. I would prefer double jointed elbows, to be completely honest, for a character like Ronan, especially wielding that hammer. He'd be able to get in some great poses. The belt piece is a separate piece, soft enough though to allow for the legs to go all the way up, and the metallic belt matches the arms and the legs. I do wish the legs had the same sort of sculpted lines going across like the arms, but the legs are reused as well, down to the boots. The boots look like there's a boot swivel, but there isn't. You do have ankle pivot and rocker. Then you've got the double jointed pins in the knees. Okay, so there's that. The arm gauntlets are also reused. The hands may be new or reused, so they're very similar. But all in all, it is a solid representation of comic Ronan, and I'm not even mad at the reuse as such, but there are clearly some issues with this figure. Now, you know me, I'm not one to bitch and complain about action figures. At the end of the day, we're all grown adults spending our own money, and there's enough information out there for you to make your own purchasing decisions. So I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't buy, but I'm not naive to the issues either, and there's clearly a frustration with this release in regards to the value, as let me introduce to you Colossus from the 2017 Warlock Builder figure wave. Now, Ronan is basically this guy with a few upgrades, but are those upgrades worth nearly double the price? As Colossus came with an interchangeable head, he came with a builder figure piece, and Ronan, yes, he has a few extra pieces, only comes with the hammer, and he is nearly double the price, as Colossus was part of a regular builder figure wave, and Ronan here is a deluxe exclusive. So we're definitely paying a premium, and we just don't understand why sometimes. It is obviously very frustrating. But I'm not even mad at the reuse, as it makes sense. This is an accurate looking comic Ronan. I do wish though we had double jointed elbows, as the single jointed elbows are going to be limiting to pose this guy up, especially when he comes with a hammer. Would have been nice to have those posing options. And also I do think the lines going across the legs to match the arms would have been a nice touch as well. So a few little gripes at the end of the day, but the biggest frustration with this one is obviously value, and they are warranted. But still, you couldn't have Ronan without his hammer, so let's look at that. His hammer is called the Universal Weapon, and as you can see, he's already been through some battles, as there's definitely some wear and tear on this hammer in regards to the sculpt. There's also a nice texture going through it, and then these lines are sculpted with the blue paint, that blue energy painted in on both sides. But yeah, you can see some scratches and some wear and tear on this guy. The hammer itself is quite light though, so that's quite hollow, and then the handle's just sort of plugged in as a separate piece. Doesn't seem to be any paint on the handle though, just sort of sculpted or molded in that plastic, but there is a little bit of texture on the handle grip, and then some spikes there on the end as well. So it is pretty big and hefty, and he can hold it with two hands, but ultimately the lack of articulation in the elbows and the lack of butterfly joint will limit the great sort of swinging hammer poses you can get with this guy. It's basically just going to be a guy that stands intimidating on the shelf in a neutral pose, but you can't have Ronan without his hammer, and the hammer does have some heft to it as well. Again, look how big that head is. It's bigger than his head, but yeah, again, double jointed elbows on this guy would really make a difference. Getting the tape measure out just so you can see for yourself, Ronan is about 7.5 inches tall, just under 8 inches, so he's not like the biggest massive character ever. And again, if you've got Colossus, you know exactly what to expect. Continuing with comparisons, here we have a couple of bigger than average cosmic villains. So we have our deluxe Thanos, and then we have Morg that came with the Galactus HasLab. Here we have Quasar and Nova, and does anyone else's Nova's legs just stand so far apart? As I mentioned earlier, Ronan actually debuted in a Fantastic Four comic. So here we have Reed, Sue and Johnny. Let's switch up the costumes and bring in Ben Grimm, so now we have the complete Fantastic Four. Sue is there, definitely. She's just invisible, obviously. Here we have the original founding members of the Guardians with Yondu and Vance Astro. For a quick MCU versus comic comparison, here we have Ronan from the first Guardians movie. Now, he is a Kree, so let's bring in a couple of scrolls for him to whack, but we definitely need some Kree army builders now, don't you think? Here we have some of the Who crew with Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And then last but never least, here we have Captain Britain and Hal Fire Hank. Final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Amazon exclusive deluxe Ronan the Accuser. Now, Ronan is taller than your average Marvel Legend, but is that enough to warrant the deluxe treatment? I don't think so, not without some interchangeable heads or hands or effect pieces, updated double jointed elbows. I don't know, give me something else in that box to feel the value, because right now I'm not feeling it. But ultimately I knew what I was getting myself in for, and this does fill a Ronan the Accuser shaped hole in my cosmic collection. I think it still looks quite comic accurate even with the reuse, and it is definitely still an upgrade compared to that old builder figure. But you can let me know what you think in the comments below. You can love it, you can hate it, let me know. And as always, if you like Marvel Legends, you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at @StanWho. And I'm on Twitter as well. Don't be shy, tweet me at DanWhoReviews. And until then, people, I have been Dan W, and I will, of course, see you on the next one.